Good morning, Chillie here with Chillie's Cruises for today's episode of Travel and Cruise Industry News. This is October the 10th, 2019. Welcome to all. This is, of course, Thursday morning. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to cover today, so we'll get right to it. But I do need to quickly touch a couple little business items that I didn't think about the other day and whatever. Subscriber count, we're up to 1,550 subscribers now. So we've picked up quite a few new folks. Thank you all. Welcome aboard. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, in the description down below, down there someplace, there's all kinds of links to my Facebook page and Twitter and all that stuff. And there's links to my Amazon account. If you follow my Amazon link and buy something, I make a few pennies, which helps support this silly channel and some of my silliness. That being said, as always, because I tend to forget to do this when I do my little commercial message at the end, we'd appreciate a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't care, but that at least tells Facebook that somebody's out there watching this silliness at this ungodly hour in the morning. I'm a little off kilter today. Braticat, that is my alarm clock, failed to get me up. It is normal, like 2 o'clock in the morning business. Actually, Braticat didn't bother me, and I didn't get up till like 4, which is late for me. So, of course, Braticat then demanded immediate food, which of course I gave him, and he's now in there snoozing merrily away. So whether he appears today or not, who knows? Anyway, getting a little silliness. So getting right on to the important stuff today. If you noticed, the lead story this morning is Carnival is going back to Freeport this week. There's actually 2 stories that came out in the last 24 hours concerning this. Carnival Cruise Line has announced that the cruise ships will resume calling on Freeport later this week. When the Carnival Pride docks in Freeport on Friday, it will be the first Carnival cruise ship to visit Grand Bahama Island since Hurricane Dorian. That's awesome, folks. That's awesome. Over the next week, the Pride, the Elation, and the Freedom will all visit Freeport. Of course, the Pride left Baltimore on Sunday, and it's a week-long cruise with about 2,400 guests. So the thing that I was most worried about once they got Freeport going again was, would there be excursions? And surprisingly, there's 15 shore excursions that will be offered, including the all-inclusive beach club, a select retreat and beach with water toys, a VIP luxury sail, just to name a few. And that's just awesome, folks. I'm tickled pink to be able to announce that Freeport will now be accepting cruise passengers. I'm sure the other cruise lines will be following shortly behind. There were some pictures available of the rebuilt area, I guess, that should be landing in Freeport. So unfortunately, I have never gotten set up where I can switch off from just seeing my fat face on your computer screen to pictures. And it's probably my lack of technical skills more than anything. But I will on my little thumbnail for when this live broadcast becomes a video, there will be a picture of the new landing area in Freeport. So anyway, that is just terrific news. I'm sorry that I last week on my cruise did not get to go to Freeport. That was, of course, canceled and became an extra sea day. and I was looking forward to visiting Freeport prior to Hurricane Dorian. So I'll have to do another Bahamas cruise, which would be just terribly difficult duty for me to go back to the Bahamas. Anyway, I will share one more cruise story, and I'll quit bothering you people with with stories of my cruise exploits and so forth. Actually, this is a post-cruise story. I got to the airport in, where was it? Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C., waiting, I don't know, a couple hours for the flight from Dulles to Roanoke, where I flew out of, which is, one of the two airports that I can go out of from here at the farm in Bedford County. And while I was waiting for my connecting flight, I happened to meet a lady in the terminal there and in the waiting area that was 96 years old. And she, as a matter of fact, got along, even though she was on a cane, as I was, got along better than I did at 96. And when I found out she was 96 years old, I said, "Ma'am, I need to buy you a drink." And she said, "Well, that's okay." So I did. I bought the lady a drink. So I had a cocktail with a 96-year-old lady. That was pretty cool. Number one, I could buy her a drink. And number two, that I was with somebody that old that gets along better than I do. Anyway, nice lady. She's from down in North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina. She was on her way back to Wilmington. So the other story about Carnival and Freeport, the Carnival Ecstasy is currently in dry dock in Freeport, where new enhancements and features will be added. It will be there for 2 weeks. This is the first ship back. This fantasy class vessel is the first to use the facility since Hurricane Dorian devastated Grand Bahama and Abaco. We had news that the shipyard was back open, and as some of you may recall, I had an argument back and forth with the president of the shipyard, who claimed that it was ready to go way too early when they didn't even know where people were. But anyway, it's open and up for business, and they're fully staffed. Some of the folks, of course, that lost their homes and are still in temporary housing, that's going to have to be that way for a long time, but they are back working. And the Ecstasy is the first ship there. So that's another terrific step for the recovery of the folks in the Bahamas, as that's a major player as far as employment goes. By the way, the Ecstasy, if like me, I've been on the Ecstasy twice in the past. They're adding the Bonsai Express, which is great for me because I love sushi. New video arcade, that doesn't affect me one way or the other. I never mess with videos, arcades. New Dream Studio, photo venue, and retail shop upgrades, among the other things that they will be doing in this dry dock. The ship will look all fresh and new, ready before resuming its service from Jacksonville on October 17th, which it will continue to sail year-round 4- and 5-day Bahamas itineraries from Jacksonville. So, great news out of the Bahamas. A couple other stories to go over this morning. I guess I need to do the update on Typhoon Hagibis, which threatens to just wreak havoc on Japan. And any travelers are going to find themselves possibly with change of plans at the last minute. The typhoon, which is the strongest of the season thus far, is expected to make landfall in Japan on Saturday. It has classified Hagibis as a super typhoon on par with a Category 5 hurricane. Now, it did in fact, weaken a little as it's now has wind speeds of 120 miles an hour with gusts up to 170. They have preemptively canceled 2 of the Rugby World Cup matches for Saturday. And apparently they're going to go down in the record books as a tie because they were canceled. I don't understand that one, but then I don't understand much about rugby, but that's me. Nippon Airways, of course, the main Japanese airline, has announced that flights on Saturday are likely to be canceled, and further cautioned that transit options to and from the airports will be affected as well. The same kind of information has come from East Japan Railway Company. So they're hunkering down for just a nasty weekend. And as we mentioned the other day, there's the major sporting events going on there were scheduled this weekend. There's a number of the Rugby World Cup games were scheduled throughout Japan, and then the Grand Prix race is this weekend. So I'm sure that the weather is going to affect a lot of those things. So Hagibis is still looking awful, heading for Japan. Now, back on our side of the Pacific, there are still 3 disturbances. Is all they can be rated at thus far. One's about 750 miles east of Bermuda. The likelihood of it forming into anything further is only like 10%. So it's still just a disturbance at this point. Excuse me for a sip of coffee and a rough throat. And there are 2 disturbances, one roughly off the coast of North Carolina and one roughly off the coast of, I guess I'd call that New Jersey. And those 2 disturbances are causing, or at least adding to wind and rain along the eastern seaboard, some high tide and rip currents and that kind of thing. Not nearly as bad as it would be if these were tropical force winds or anything like that, but still you're feeling some high tides and some rip currents and some wind along the coast, and there's some rain up and down the east coast. So none of the 3 of them really are likely to develop into anything much more. So the system out in the Atlantic looks like maybe we're going to get through the season without any further storms. I hope. It's been a bad enough year as it is. Okay, a couple other things, not such good news. The United States Coast Guard medevaced a crew member from the Norwegian Joy, approximately 30 miles off the coast of Coos Bay, Oregon. The 61-year-old Filipino man reportedly was suffering heart complications. And then last night, their time, the Coast Guard of New Zealand dispatched a helicopter to the Celebrity Solstice to medevac a crew member who needed to be hospitalized. And they were near the Bay of Islands in New Zealand when they called for the helicopter. There was no information whether the crew member was injured or had become ill. But so that happened. A couple crew folks had some issues in the cruise world in the past 24 hours. So our thoughts are with those guys and, of course, their families and so forth, that all goes well. The storylines, mentioned this one time before about, it's been a couple months ago now, is a new cruise line building a quote unquote affordable residential community at sea, has announced that they are now taking pre-sale deposits for their first cruise ship. It's scheduled to debut in 2023. Storylines will welcome residents who are ready to start a new chapter of their lives building a home at sea for a global journey of discovery and cultural immersion. Folks, I'm reading a script on that one. That's not anything that I would ever say. But anyway, that's what the storyline folks are saying. But so you'll know, cabin prices will range from $352,235 up to $8 million for a two-story penthouse. So if you happen to have $8 million laying around and you want to live at sea, God bless you. If you're single and a woman that has that much money, call me. No, I'm just kidding. Good luck to the storyline, folks. I did an interview, it's been 6 or 8 weeks ago now, with Christie Smitsy from Australia, who is going to live on a ship full time starting in the spring. And so down in the description down here, folks, there will be a link to my Chillie chats with Christie. If any of you are seriously interested in that type of thing, I would love to do that, but I don't have 8 million laying around. But anyway, the link to my interview with Christie is in the description, and also you'll see in the description a link to my website for a new cruise for my website, F&C Travel. It is designated as the Veendam San Juan cruise. Now, this is not a new cruise offered by the cruise line. This is a new cruise that I have put up on the website. So there's a link to that if you'd like to check it out. But it's the MS Veendam from Holland American, sails out of Fort Lauderdale starting in October. It's a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise with stops at Grand Turk, San Juan, St. Thomas, and Half Moon Key in the Bahamas. So a new, actually that means that I got some work done for a change. And I have a new cruise that we've added to the website and into my promotional sequences. And for those of you, again, since I've got a lot of new folks out there, I am not a travel agent. I do not work for a cruise line, which therefore gives me the right and ability to be critical when I think necessary of any of the cruise lines. And on the same token, when I feel the cruise companies are right, I'll say that too. I do have a website, and should you want to book a cruise through me, I can do that. Quite frankly, I am not a licensed booking agent, and my agent was not worth the money to do that. But yes, I would go through either a local travel agent that I use here in Bedford County, or through my friends at Vacations to Go, and help you any way possible in getting your cruise booked. I mean, right up to the fact that I can, through my other business ventures, handle money for you and payments and all that kind of thing. But anyway, if you ever need any help booking a cruise, I can certainly take care of that for you. I do not advertise that and pound it very often. It's there if you need it. I try to do more of informational services than anything, and that is what has helped me develop my YouTube channel. And yeah, I do make some money from that. As you know, that when you click on any of my videos or these broadcasts, they have the ads. And yeah, I do make a few pennies from that every time when you look at one of those ads, whether you click on them or not. I make a little bit of money on that, and that supports the channel. And as I continue to grow, hopefully it continues to be more, and it'll help support me going on cruises or other travel, which I am apt to do whenever possible. Okay, let's see. I had a couple other things to mention this morning. Well, one other thing, and this is just it was a story. It was actually missed it, skipped over it on Tuesday because it actually happened Monday. But a brand new 260-ton Westport LLC yacht, 260-ton yacht, lost control and motored about 300 feet away from a fuel dock before the bow crashed into the top of a dock at the Port Angeles boat haven. There were no injuries, and a cause has not been determined as of late Monday afternoon. The 125-foot yacht was owned by Westport and was getting set to travel to Fort Lauderdale for delivery to its new owner. I have no idea what the cost of that yacht was, but it crashed into a dock, and I'm wondering if that sale was now put on hold. But anyway, I just found that story interesting. So that's it for craziness this morning. Again, if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. I picked up several new folks, and by the way, I mentioned Wichita John. Wichita John, I did hear from him. That was on my cruise on the Norwegian Sun. So I was glad to hear from John. So he's now has joined our family of idiot travelers, which we say that tongue in cheek, as you all know. But anyway, I regularly post videos on all facets of, by the way, this is the commercial message, folks. I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise and travel news, or the latest in cruise ship, ports of call, cruises themselves, my interview shows, which are called Chillie Chats, hit the little subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner. Click on the bell notification system. You'll be notified as soon as I go live, which is on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or a new video is posted. And there will be a lot of that, as I have gotten all the video stuff that I did on the cruise is now been downloaded to the computer and uploaded. I could get into all this technical crap. But anyway, I've got all kinds of video clips now that I need to start editing and putting together and doing some more videos. Of course, I did the one series video on special needs cruising from my experiences. So if you have any folks out there that are have special needs and are going on a trip, whether it's a cruise or any other kind of travel, you might want to look at that, because there's some serious ideas and things that I've successfully used with my what do you want to call them, infirmities. I'm getting old, and my parts are wearing out, and I'm not going to sit back and not cruise. So ways of getting around that. So you might want to take a look at that, because there are some seriously good ideas that I use a lot. So, and if those of you have not seen that, I've had both hips replaced. I need to have both knees replaced. I have a bad back. I'm fat, overweight, which doesn't help the knee issues. And I have trouble walking over about 30 yards. 30 yards, and then I got to stop. So, but anyway, I found some ways of successfully traveling with those infirmities. So if you know of anybody, check out that video. It's on this channel. So that's it for this morning. I will see everybody on Saturday morning. And of course, if anything happens between now and then, I will update you as soon as possible, either via a video or if it's something earth-shattering enough, we'll just go live at any time. So always keep your eyes out for the fat travel guy. All right, that's it for this morning. This is Chillie Falls with Chillie's Cruises. Later, y'all.